I just want to apologize. I know you guys are getting hit up by a ton of iPhone 12 videos, and mine's a bit late just because I just got it this morning. And I'm going to try to make this unboxing as simple as possible. And hopefully throughout this entire video, you may pick up something you didn't learn in a previous video. If not, I'm always here for you. Like, just drop a question in the comment section or come on Discord and I'd be happy to answer it. Now, I did pick up the iPhone 12 Pro in Pacific Blue and the iPhone 12 product red. And the first thing you notice when you get these boxes is how tiny they are compared to previous models. Apple is doing a better job of helping the environment. And in order to do that, they're decreasing the size of the box, removing the charger, and removing the headphones. This is gonna help their carbon footprint. And look, we can sit here and argue all day whether they're doing this in the kindness of their heart or to make more money. Me personally, I don't care. Anything to help the environment is always a good thing. To give you some context on the size difference between this box and the iPhone 11, here it is. Like, this is literally half the size. So it's gonna feel a bit smaller when you get it, but I still feel like you're getting a premium product. And I've kind of already went ahead and unboxed the iPhone 12 Red just to get it set up so I don't waste all of your time. But it is a gorgeous, gorgeous color. It's not as deep and dark as previous product Reds. It has more of like a orangey tint to it, depending on the way the light reflects to it. You also get your charging cable in the box. This time it's USB Type-C to Lightning connector. You get some paperwork, there's some stickers, and of course, inside you have your SIM tool. With the iPhone 12 Pro, very similar idea. Inside the box, you get the phone. Oh my God, wow. Okay, this blue looks so much better in person than it does in photos. Holy smokes. This has like a grayish blue effect depending on how the light hits off the back. And then like the glass over here has like a deeper, darker blue because of the non-frosted glass they're using at the top. I'm really digging this color. Wow, okay. So even the edges are a bit shinier. It's brushed because this is stainless steel, so they're doing it a bit differently. And instead of getting that piece of plastic on the top to remove, you're gonna get this little piece of paper. Now, the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro are the exact same size. Like, there's no difference in terms of their dimensions. However, this iPhone 12 Pro feels significantly heavier because of that steel frame. Like, you hold this in your hand and then you hold the iPhone 12, you're gonna feel a difference. On the back of these devices, they have these magnets inside of here that allows you to use Apple's new accessories which incorporate MagSafe. It's nothing fancy, it's basically just magnets inside of the body to allow you to connect things. Automatically connects, you plug the back into your charger, and the big deal with this type of wireless charging is that instead of having it on a desk on top of, let's say, a non-movable wireless charger, this allows you to pick up the phone and still use it while it's wirelessly charging. Same holds true for the iPhone 12. You just place it on the back, it automatically connects it. How strong is it? Well, I can pick up my phone like this. I'm shaking it. It takes a while, but it's pretty strong and it holds the device. Obviously, it's gonna fall off a bit easier on the 12 Pro because the 12 Pro is heavier. Now, there's also a case that I got with it, which is Apple's clear case. And this too has MagSafe incorporated. I hate to say it, but this looks really ugly on a clear case. I just don't like the way this looks. But in theory, what you do is you place the case on, and this case works both with the iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro. And because it has that magnet on the back, you can still attach the connector to the back and it's automatically gonna be applied. Now, they did say this case is supposed to snap on and snap off like magnets. No, it does not do that at all. This is like taking off any standard case. You have to really pry your fingers under to get it off. Now, to give you guys some context on how these devices line up to the older iPhone 11 Pro and even iPhone SE, here are the size differences. iPhone 12, because of that bigger display, is a slightly bit taller and it's a tiny bit wider. So if you found the 11 Pro to be already too big or pushing the bigger boundary for your hand size, you might want to stick with the iPhone 12 mini. But for someone like me who found the 11 Pro slightly too small and the Pro Max a bit too big, the 12 Pro is going to be the perfect size. Now this display is beautiful. It's OLED. It's more pixel dense than the previous iPhone 11. No more LCD panels on the new iPhone 12. And it gets bright, just not as bright as the display on the 12 Pro. If you look carefully, there's still quite a bit of bezel surrounding the entire device. And of course, you still have the exact same size Face ID. I tested it out a couple of times and it works very, very well. Now I have to commend Apple for not using edge displays ever. Like, thank you for sticking to flat displays. And when you combine that with this squared boxed off look on this phone, typing on this is super enjoyable. The other big deal between the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro is that you have 3 cameras on the 12 Pro compared to only 2 on the 12. They both have updated wide sensors. They now have an aperture of f1.6, which means they're wider and technically they can let in more light. On the 12, you have the ultra wide lens, which is the same one on the Pro, but with the Pro, you get that telephoto lens, which can zoom up to 2.5 times. This is a 0.5 times more than the previous iPhone. Now the big deal this year is that the 12 Pro gets a LiDAR sensor, and this doesn't do much for your photography except if you use portrait mode or portrait mode at nighttime. So any sort of like depth-based photos you're taking, the LiDAR sensor is going to kick in. Now, because I'm in Canada, I don't have that millimeter wave antenna cut out on the right-hand side of our device. Everything is sub-6 here in Canada for 5G, which, by the way, if you haven't figured out yet, all of these iPhones come with 5G. Now, the 11 Pro always had fantastic stereo speakers, and I'm curious to see if Apple improved them with the 12 Pro. Now I can't comment on battery life, but I do know that there's smaller batteries inside of the 12 and 12 Pro compared to the 11 Pro. And you add 5G, but it kind of gets offset with A14 Bionics 5 nanometer. I'm not expecting battery life to be as good as the 11 Pro, but I still expect you to get through the entire day. I also think this comes down to where you live. Are you in an area where you're constantly using 5G? Then obviously you're gonna drain the battery faster. But Apple has implemented features for your phone to automatically switch between LTE and 5G depending on what you're doing. If you're listening to music, it's most likely gonna be using LTE. If you're uploading a file, it's probably gonna switch to 5G. And eventually, they're gonna allow you to be so specific on which apps you want to use 5G and which apps you do not. Now, I have a ton of testing to do with this. Like, I also wanna test out the Dolby Vision HDR, which I think is super interesting. And I plan on incorporating that into my full review. But based on my first impressions, these are absolutely gorgeous phones. And I really think for most people, the iPhone 12 is probably gonna be the phone to get, with the iPhone 12 Pro only being worth it if you really care about having the extra sensors and the slightly different build quality. But if you can't decide between both of these, just go for the iPhone 12. And if you have an iPhone 11 or 11 Pro, you're not missing out on much. Like, these are updates, they are improved for its time, but your phones are still so good that don't feel like you're being left out on upgrading when you don't have to, because your phones are still good for years to come. Anyways, drop your questions in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.